Hello, Coach Holmes here, and today we're going to be talking about different types of proofs as well as the theorems that we may come across when it comes to proving statements. Okay, so there's three different types of proofs that we normally actually use. The first one is what we actually talked about yesterday, which happens to be two column proofs. And if you guys remember, this is where we actually have two different columns. We have a statement and a reason column, and we actually use those to actually help us prove, trying to give us a proof. The second proof is a flow proof. And the third are paragraph proofs. Okay? So again, the three types of proofs that we may actually use are a two-column proof, a flow proof, and a paragraph proof. Well, we already done a two-column proof. So some of you may be wondering, what's a flow proof? Well, a flow proof uses boxes and arrows to show the flow of logical statements to reach a conclusion. Okay, so again, flow proofs are the uses of boxes and arrows to show the flow of a logical statement to reach a conclusion. So that kind of means you don't have to write this down, but that what it means, like if I have a little box and I have a statement inside and I use an arrow to make that claim, and I just keep going till I actually reach my conclusion. That's a flow proof. A paragraph proof is a written logical paragraph that leads I lost my place. From given information to a conclusion. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like a two-column proof, but you're writing sentences and you're trying to make a paragraph out of that proof. That's what a paragraph proof is. It's literally writing a paragraph on the proof. Now, so again, there's different kinds of proofs. But in order to help us define proofs, sometimes we need to use theorems in order to help us out. And there's actually some theorems that have actually been given to us. So for example, right angle theorem. Is this a simple fact that all right angles are congruent? That's it. It doesn't matter how it doesn't matter what type of it doesn't matter how the angle is set up, it doesn't matter how it's rotated. Just as long as it shows that it's a right angle, all right angles are congruent. Now, congruent supplement theorem has to do with supplementary angles. But here's how it goes. Two angles are supplementary angles two angles are supplementary angles, or let me say this, if two angles, there we go, if two angles are supplementary angles to the same angle, they are, or they're congruent. Okay? So for example, if I have a 120-degree angle and I have 260, if these two angles are supplementary to the 120, they're both going to be congruent. That's what it actually means. So any pair of supplementary angles, they could be congruent to each other given on which one we're looking at. Now, for congruent complementary angles, it's actually the same thing as supplementary, but the only difference is that the two angles are complementary, which, if you remember, they add up to 90 degrees. Okay, so just remember, let's say I have an angle 10 here and a second 10 here. As long as they're both congruent to 80, these two angles are actually congruent to each other. So as long as they're complementary to 80 degrees, they are congruent angles. Now, linear pair basically says two angles that form linear pairs are supplementary. Okay? So if I have a line and a ray right here, I have a linear pair. Well, they're going to be congruent. Angle 1 and angle 2, they're going to be not congruent, I'm sorry. They are not congruent. Angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary to each other. So that means that as long as any linear pair is going to have supplementary angles. That's what the theorem tells us. Now, vertical angle tells us that vertical angle theorem says that vertical angles are congruent. So if I have any pair of vertical angles are going to be congruent. So for example, angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. And it's just going to be opposite. Opposite from angle 2 is angle 4, and they're going to be congruent as well. So today, I just want you all to, right now, I just wanted to show y'all the different theorems that you may use when it comes to proving statements. We're trying to make proofs. But be aware that there are 3 different types of proofs when it comes to writing proofs. There's a 2-column proof, a flow proof, and a paragraph proof. So just be aware that you may have to do one of each in order to find the proof. Thank you and have a good day.